Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of Smart Counsel for Lunch. My name is Sean Downing, and I'm an attorney here at the law firm of Samuel, Sayward, and Baylor. We're located in Dedham, Massachusetts, and we focus our practice in the areas of estate planning, elder law, probate, and trust and estate administration. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about something called the residential tax exemption. Now, this is a local tax exemption that's in around 20 or so cities and states throughout Massachusetts. The big ones, Boston, Cambridge, Somerville, Brookline, and it's in a lot of places right around Boston. And what these programs do is they lower your taxes, property taxes due on your primary residence if you live in one of these states. Now, they're not automatic. You have to, file some paperwork. And again, it has to be your primary residence, so this does not apply to second homes or investment properties or anything like that. But what it does, is it lowers your property taxes for your primary residence. So it's a great program. Now, there's some complications, not really complications, more caveats when we're talking about estate planning and keeping this exemption in place. So these programs allow you to just have your primary residence go into a trust. But what they don't allow you to do is have the trust that owns the property have different trustees and beneficiaries. Now, what does that mean in practice? So for the run-of-the-mill revocable trust that most people do just for probate avoidance, you're absolutely fine going forward with that planning. Because in the normal revocable trust, you are the beneficiary, all the assets are used for you, and you're going to be the trustee, the one in charge of making decisions. So because you're both those roles, the exemptions should continue, but what you'll have to do is you'll have to refile the paperwork saying that a trust now owns it, and you are the trustee and the beneficiary of your home, and then you should be able to keep the exemption. But you do have to file that paperwork, so definitely be sure to do that. Now, if you do something with a trustee and beneficiary aren't the same, then you're going to run into more problems. So the main example of this is using an irrevocable trust. So this is a situation where, most people are doing this for mass health planning, Medicaid planning, where you want to lock the house away out of your control. So then after a 5-year waiting period, if you run out of money, that house, the equity in the house is protected to be passed on to your kids. This is a very common thing you see. However, if you put your house, your primary residence, into an irrevocable trust, that irrevocable trust, you cannot be both the trustee and the beneficiary anymore, right? You're giving up control. That's how it works for the mass health planning. So you can't be the trustee in control any longer. So what that means is you can't be the trustee and beneficiary, and you can't keep the exemption. Now, maybe this isn't a huge deal. It might be worth it. Still, the equity of the house is usually, far more than the property tax savings you're getting, but it's definitely something to consider if you're making these decisions about, putting your house into irrevocable trust. There might be some domino effects in ways you didn't consider, including this, property exemption. So yeah, definitely, be aware of this, and also just be aware of this exemption in general. If you live in, Massachusetts, the closer to Boston, definitely check out your town's website and see if there's your town has a residential property exemption as well, a residential tax exemption as well. Yeah, so besides that, I wanted to do a little shout out for our seminars we have coming up. Our next one is going to be on September 15th with my colleague, attorney Leah Kofis. She's a great presenter. And this is all about leaving a legacy that lasts. And she's given the title, Leave More, Not Less. And it should be a great seminar, and we hope to see you there. If you'd like to join, you can RSVP on our website by going to ssbllc.com and going over to our events page and clicking on that event, and you should be able to register there. All right, have a great summer, and I hope to see you around the office.